welcome back to another Limitless interview. Today I'm sitting down with the Business Development Manager of Limitless, newly hired as well, Filthy Freddie. Freddie, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I appreciate you asking. Today we're just going to sit down and talk about your experiences and what kind of led you to joining us here at Limitless. I know you're a recent add to the team, but we'll talk about that in a second. I want to start kind of going all the way back. How did you get into esports and the gaming space?
Yeah, so I mean, I think just like everybody else, right? You start off on console at some point doing some type of gaming, and for me, it had always been Call of Duty or Madden, some sports game or first-person shooter game. I would have to say probably like 2020-ish, maybe. I was just coming back from a deployment, and because I'm in the military as well, and I started playing video games with my buddies. Like we just started playing Call of Duty and stuff, and they're like, "Man, like Freddie, you're pretty good." And I was like, "Ah, no, not really." And they're like, "Have you ever thought about streaming?" And I was like, "No." And so I researched it and learned everything about streaming, and I got instantly hooked. Like I would say,
Wow.
probably like in the first 30 days, I went to like a top notch. And at this time, the 2080 supers were like the big thing. And I jumped into a PC, and then fast forward 18 months later, I'm on a dual PC setup with 4 monitors and running everything, and I'm competing in Call of Duty Warzone tournaments, and making content and hosting tournaments for Call of Duty and everything. So it just kind of took off from there, and then I started helping people with like content strategy and
Hmm.
building up their, promotions and their sponsors and their partnerships on an individual basis. And, it just kind of took off from there.
Wow. So you just dove into streaming just like that, and it took
Oh yeah.
off. I mean, what happened?
Yeah.
How did you find such sudden growth by just jumping into streaming?
You know what? To be honest with you, man, it was 100% a timing thing. Like COVID
Yeah.
was just popping off, so everybody was staying home, and I'm one of those people where like I like to talk a lot of crap. So we would go out there, we would go into the wagers, and we'd go into the tournaments, and we would just do whatever we wanted to do and just make funny clips and push clips, and we just went, and we ended up getting like a really tight knit group of people where we all
Hmm.
just started growing. And once I realized like, hey man, I can't do this forever. It just the content side of it just kind of died out for me, and
Hmm.
I just kept grinding on the competitive side, and had a couple good placements and stuff. But I shout out to the guys that are doing this for 8 to 10 hours a day. Like
Yeah.
I just can't, man. I'll lose full every single time if I try to do it like that again.
Hey, well, you found success on the business side of competitive
Yep.
gaming. How did that come about? You said you did some consulting work while you were amidst all of the success in streaming. How did you make that transition completely?
So I've always been a talker. So like you see on my hat, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm from New York originally, and I've always been a smooth talker, and I've
Hmm.
always been able to talk to people. And it didn't matter of like what walk of life you came from. Like I was able to find like the connection and
Hmm.
just make it, and then make things happen. And one thing that makes me really good at my job is that I try to find the comparisons between us and other companies, other programs, other products, and say, hey, this is how we be friends.
Hmm.
Now let me take our friendship and make you profit, and this is how we're gonna do it. And I take them along on the ride, figuratively, and then we move into a physical aspect of taking them on the ride.
I love that. I love that visualization of it. I mean, the guys at Limitless obviously believe in you, believe in your work ethic and your spirit. How did that come about? How did you find the connection with Limitless and then join on as the business dev manager?
So prior to me coming on as a business dev manager for Limitless, I was actually doing talent management for a company that's based out of the UK. And
Okay.
I had reached out to Limitless and said, hey, I see you guys have some content creators. I would love to talk to you guys about possibly representing them. And it was funny because I honestly I didn't really think that I was gonna get a response back because I was emailing the organization's email, right?
Hmm.
So it could be like, no, we're not interested in stuff like that. And believe it or not, like you'll send out 100 emails and you might get a response for like 3 or 4 of
Yeah.
them. When you're trying to locate and find talent to represent them. But I ended up getting an email back from our CEO, Big Sin, and we had a conversation that talked over the content creator side. And later on, I ended up getting a message from him. It was like, "Hey, man, I would love to talk to you about something completely different."
Hmm.
And we ended up having that conversation, and this is where it led.
Wow, hey, you just send emails out. It's just cold turkey, and you get
Yeah,
right in.
yeah,
Sometimes it works
yeah.
out. I love that, and I mean that's kind of the spirit at Limitless, finding those people that are good at what they do, putting them in those places to succeed. And I want to talk about kind of what contributed to your getting hired at Limitless. Your kind of vision for business development here. What do you foresee as your role here, and how can that help Limitless going forward?
So it's honestly it's the way that I promote myself and what I believe I can do.
Hmm.
And it goes back to like an old saying, like paint the picture, right? So I painted a picture figuratively to Sin on what I can do and what the connections and the networking skills that I have. And I pushed it to him, and I said, look, this is what I'm capable of. I just need someone to give me the opportunity to show that I can do it. And I will tell you this, as soon as we locked everything in and everything came official, I have not stopped working. And
Wow.
I could be playing a video game and I'll see like a tweet or I'll see something post on LinkedIn or I'll see a company product that's posted on another random content creators post, and I'm like, hey, I could probably grab these guys and make this work. Well, let's find the comparison. Well, we do this and they do that, and if we put these two together, it's kind of like, you know, chocolate chip ice cream on a hot summer day. It's amazing and everybody loves it, and that's what we're gonna, and I go for it. And you know, it's it's been really, really successful. We've had a lot of great conversations with a lot of great companies. But as in all, aspects of business, going into a new fiscal year is extremely tough,
Hmm.
right? So companies might not have the budget set yet. They might not understand what their budget looks like. They don't know how much, they're going to put aside to budget, for marketing aspects and
Sure.
promotional, product promotions and campaign deals and stuff like that. So, you know, Q1's always it's always planting the seed,
Hmm.
right? Of any year that you go into. So really Q1, the main focus is plant the seed with these companies. Let them know that there's a top tier, esports organization that is growing consistently day over day, week over week, has an amazing Rocket League team, has, uh some really, really great things that are in the works and that are coming in the future. And I push that information and I plant that seed so that way
Hmm.
when Q2, Q3 does come around, they're like, hey, I remember Freddie reaching out. I remember Limitless. I remember seeing this. And, you'll see there's going to be some things coming up here pretty soon that's
Yeah.
going to show, flourishing of the hard work that's been put in during this first month of the new year.
And I mean, that's what everyone keeps telling me in these interviews. Every staff member is saying how 2025 is going to be a big year, and I guess the seeds are being planted as we're speaking. And I mean, does it really take that long to get connections made with other companies that you're trying to partner with? There's months where you're planting the seed at the beginning of the year, and then down the line, several months later, that's when it comes to fruition.
Yes and no.
Hmm.
So, like I said, it really depends on A, the timing, B, how that company's budget set
Sure.
up, and then how the world is moving. You know, um, think of it like, say if it's a controller company and they use a specific product that's only made somewhere else, in
Hmm.
another country or something like that. Like with the economic events that go out through the day throughout the world and stuff like that, it could place a hold that company says, hey, we want to do this now, but we can't because of
Gotcha.
XYZ, right? So But there are times where, yeah, I will talk to you today and you're going to think about it for 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to talk to your business partners. And then come March, April, May, you're like, Freddie, hey, I'm getting back to you, so on and so forth. Right. But it's my job to keep that connection there and to keep that seed growing with check-ins and follow-ups and having those, those meetings and face-to-face phone calls with the owners and the representatives of these companies.
Okay, so good things come to those who wait. That makes sense in business. And I want to ask you, just overall, you've had a lot of different experiences, especially in the gaming and talent space. And I'm wondering if there is one or two lessons that have really stuck with you over the years that you've learned while going through the motions of your business life that you'd like to share here in this interview.
Yeah, so the first one's a really big one, it's not that I struggle with it every day. It's just something that I still compete with internally is patience. Have patience, right? Like patience is a virtue, and that saying is as old as time for a reason, right? Like if you have patience and you grow your idea and you let that idea take flight and follow the process, you're not going to go wrong. Whether you land the deal or you don't land the deal, you're going to learn something and you're going to make something out of it. Whether it's a new connection that could come back in a year or two from now, or it's hey, this is what I did wrong and I'm not going to do it, make that same mistake again and do it again. The second one I would say is probably don't rush in to contracts. One thing that I've learned with content creators, with companies, businesses, is everyone's so eager to monetize, right? To make that money and get that financial gain. And I get it, right? Like, and I'm in the Army National Guard. I'm a full-time student. I'm at home, 23 out of the 24 hours of the day, and money's is a struggle, and I understand that. But content creators and competitors and stuff like that, like they'll get an offer from, say, a tier 4 org or a tier 3 org or an org that's just popped up yesterday and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna sign that deal right now because they're gonna pay us X amount of money to a month to do this. But you rush into that contract and now you're legally obligated if the contract has the right parts to it. And then you find out after signing it that org doesn't care about you, that company doesn't care about you, that they don't have the funding that they said that they do, so on and so forth, right? So don't rush into the contracts. Like, learn who the company is, learn who the organization is, make sure that just as much as you're a right fit for them, that they're a right fit for you. You know what I mean? And like, it's like, hey, maybe Limitless wants this person or this content creator, this competitor, but maybe another org might be the better option for them.
Sure.
And I think that's like the one thing that I love about Limitless and the foresight is like, we're always rooting for the little guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like, regardless if you're with us or if you're with another company or you're with a sister org or a competitor org, like, as long as you're prospering and you're growing, we're happy for you. You know what I mean? Whether it's with us or not. And it's like, there's no ill will there. And there's no bad blood that we push towards people. And I love that aspect because I'm a firm believer. Like, if I'm growing, that's because I'm making you grow. So if you're growing, I'm growing. And if you're with me or you're with them, we're all growing together and we're all succeeding in accomplishing what we want to accomplish.
I do love that mentality at Limitless. It certainly is a family mindset here, and it shows in the successes that Limitless has had so far and will continue to have. And I mean, talking about that, everyone, it feels like, at Limitless has other things going on. They've got families they're raising. There are a lot of ex and currently in the military people at Limitless. How do you juggle everything that you're dealing with school, National Guard, family? How do you stay on top of things?
What's funny is I got asked the same question the other day in my public speaking class, and we had to do like a speech about us as individuals, and somebody asked me that same question, and I told him, I was like, you know what, man, I wouldn't be able to juggle everything if it wasn't for my wife. Like
Hmm.
100%. Like if my wife doesn't keep me in line, doesn't make sure that I have my priorities set, like I will spin in circles and run, like we like to say, right? I'll run down the rabbit hole, chasing the rabbit, not paying attention to what I'm doing. And I'm able to do it because I have a really, really great support system. My daughters all love gaming. Whenever we're watching you broadcast the Rocket League series, they're like, I have it up on a monitor that they can see it, and
Awesome.
they're like, "Oh, Dad, that's Rocket League, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I got my wife that supports and is literally my foundation to everything. Whether I'm gone traveling for the military or for work, or I'm at school, or I'm doing, things on here in front of my computer where I can't pay attention to the things that are going on outside of around me. She's there to wrangle me in and make sure that my head's in the right spot.
I love that. It's a similar answer to what Barbie gave, because he's in a similar position with everything going on for him, and he references family being that most important thing for him, and that is kind of the theme between all these interviews in Limitless. It's that family mindset again. And as we are wrapping up the interviews, I love this talk, but I want to shift it back to business for the final question I've got for you. And you can keep your answer to within the confines of just thinking about Limitless, or go overall for esports. But what's your long-term vision as the business dev manager for Limitless, or just for esports in your mind as a whole?
So, to be honest with you, like my long-term vision is to stay with Limitless as long as possible.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually I would love to get to one of those, the big five,
Sure.
the 4 or 5 horsemen of the company, where I'm able to, be that, either that vice president or that director of partnerships and sponsorships, as a whole, to where, we have more things going than that I can handle by myself. And that there's a legit team here, that's going to have their sections of responsibilities, just like we would have in the military. One department would be over specific type of sponsorships, another department would be over another specific.
Hmm.
And I have, there's so many things that I have and that I want to be able to do. And it reverts back to what I said earlier, right? Just patience.
Oh yeah.
Start, grow it and plant the seed, and let that little seed turn into a really, really big giant, coconut tree or something, and be a beautiful thing in the end. I believe that not only myself, but all of us as a team here at Limitless have the potential and have the workhorse, or the work drive, I guess you can say, to make Limitless like one of the next big tier 1 groups that people are like, yo, when they see the logo, they're gonna know who that group is.
Hmm.
They're not just gonna be like, oh man, I feel like I know that logo from somewhere. They're gonna be like, yo, we know who that is.
I love that, Freddie. I'll just plant the seed and let things grow. I love that
Yeah.
mentality. I appreciate you sitting down with me.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I was actually like really excited when you're like, hey, we're gonna do this. I was like, I'm down. Let's go.
I can tell you've got that New York energy about you.
Oh yeah.
Without the hat, I probably could have guessed that's where you're from. But thank you.
Hey man, it's straight like what Mr. Deadpool said. Full send. I'm all about it.